let's talk about the preseason game. So there's a bunch of veterans out. That's no surprise. It's game one. Russell Wilson, Ciamalo, TJ Watt, Minka, Hayward, Highsmith's got the groin complaint. Obviously, there's going to be other guys as well, but I want to talk about them veteran perspective. There's a heap of veterans. You and I probably talked for 3 hours about the impact of having them there and not having them in different position groups. But is there a particular position group, or maybe it's even a player, that when you hear of those names that we mentioned being out, is there someone that you think in that position that may benefit by the opportunity to step up and prove themselves? For example, it might be a Mason McCormick in for Ciamalo, or whether it's Kazee getting a chance to show out and prove why he should still have a spot on the roster for Fitzpatrick. Is it Leao continuing things from the offensive line? Is there a player or position that you think is going to specifically? Because I've got one as well, so I'll share mine, but after. But yeah, is there a position or player that you think is going to particularly benefit from these veterans getting a rest and getting a chance to mix it up with some of the top tier guys?
Well, there, as you said, we could talk for an hour. I'm very intrigued. This year is more new faces and new places than I can remember, and it started last year. And Con, he's put his stamp on everything. Him and Waddle. And I'm very intrigued by this year. It immediately comes to mind a few players. DeMarvin Leal. We look back, and with Dunbar, he was a great defensive line coach. It's a 3-year program, it seems like. It took Cam Hayward 3 years. It took Stephon Tuitt 3 years. We've seen Hargrave improve on year 3. Just down the line, it's a 3-year thing. This is DeMarvin Leal's 3rd year. The first 2 years, they kind of, and I said it, they used him some edge, they used him as an end, and they made him play at a lighter weight, which I think was not fair to him.
Yeah.
Now they say he's over 300, and he looks like a different guy at camp. Everybody that I follow, that I respect their opinions, say the same thing, that he looks like a different guy. He looks more like he did his junior year at A&M. That is great. That bodes well, because this Steelers defensive line has to get younger.
Correct.
They got bitten, and that's it. You're playing Ogunjobi, who's 30 or older. You got Cam, who's 35, I think. You've got Lowry, who's coming in, but he's near 30.
Well, and also Lowry's on the pup list still.
Yeah, and I think he's going to be a good addition, but they need to start getting some younger dudes.
They do have Logan Lee. They do have Logan Lee there as well, remember?
Yes. Yeah, but I think he's going to take – he can have value on special teams, maybe enough to sneak on the back end of the roster. While he's developing kind of like Brett Kiesel, who we all compare him to. I think that he has that kind of athleticism.
He could be helpful in the sub package. That's where I think they might look at. I
heard he was long snapping, like being an emergency long snapper too.
It wouldn't surprise.
I think he's trying anything to make and it's good versatility when you're trying to make a roster like that. But Leal, to me, if he can take that next step, whereas he could actually spell Hayward at times. Because, Lowry might beat out Ogunjobi by some point this year as a starter. Because Ogunjobi can't stay healthy, and he's so mid. So if Leal can spell Hayward and not be a huge drop-off, and to look like he can develop and maybe even be a starter as early as next year, the Steelers are bad. Because I thought he wasn't even going to make the roster this year.
Yeah, 100%. My player is someone we've talked about a little bit, but I didn't realize that he had a run for the back end of last week through into the weekend of 3 interceptions in 4 practices. But Ryan Watts, he is someone that could have I feel like he could be a real contender at the end of camp for I always mix up the names. The Isaac Redman Award, but he just could
be this Brett Kiesel Award.
But this guy that like comes out of absolute nowhere. He's 6'3". He's 206 pounds. He's fast. You match him up. As long as you don't have to match, he doesn't match up against the best wide receiver on the other team. He can do stuff anywhere in the secondary. Super long, exactly. Like I'm like, as a Longhorns fan, you love to see it, but like I'm just like absolutely like the preseason, like, and if he doesn't have a great year and he sits on the practice squad like through the preseason and into next year, we're thinking about him, fine. But like, I just think it's like, mate, this is yours for the taking. Like, you get this preseason right. You can take, Kazee spot on the roster or someone else spot on the roster. You can be the 5th or 6th cornerback, the backup safety at free safety or strong safety. Like the world will be your oyster in the Steelers defense, and you've got the best to learn it from.
I am huge on Ryan Watts, and here's why. And we talked about it when he was drafted, but he could play outside in a pinch. He had trouble with the top guys, but he did good in other games. And he could give you, depending on how you use him. Then he can play some slot, especially against bigger receivers and tight ends, because he's so long.
Yeah.
Then then he can play safety, which will eventually be his position, which I think is strong safety.
Yes, me too. I don't think it's free safety. Yeah.
So I think there's the future, but the immediate route to the roster is as a gunner, because they said he has been excellent as a gunner. And another underrated guy that nobody's talking about, Jonathan Ward, the running back from Central Michigan. They said they'd be using him as a gunner, and he made some really big plays at Friday Night Lights practice. Okay, now back to Ryan Watts. The Steelers have been using a dime linebacker. They used Ryan Watts 1 week. They used Corey Trice last week, and Darius Rush.
And they've used Peyton Wilson as well. They've used Peyton Wilson as well. They have used Peyton Wilson as well, yeah.
The 3 avatars, plus the most athletic inside linebacker you about ever see, and Peyton Wilson, they have 4 options. And I can see all 4 of them guys making it. Because you're talking about athleticism, length, and versatility, they got it. But Ryan Watts, I think, has a route to make this roster, because if he can take over at that strong safety to back up Elliott, he's golden.
Yeah, it's I'm looking forward to this. I think between him and Beanie Bishop, this could be this. I mean, this could be and I'm going to call it draft class or rookie. We'll call it rookie class. That's the better way to say it. I think this rookie class between those 2 blokes, Roman Wilson, Peyton Wilson, Frazier, and Furtado. Like, we talk about some great Steeler draft classes. I'm not saying they're all going to be wearing gold jackets, because I just think they're not going to be winning 4 Super Bowls. That's too hard in this day and age without a franchise quarterback, and they don't have one yet at the start of their team.
Exactly.
But by gosh, could this be a good draft class?
Yeah, but who called Beanie?
Rookie Wolves. I know.
Listen, Beanie Bishop, I said, should have been a 4th round draft pick. The guy has so much dog in him, and he's so competitive, and he's so physical, and he's fast. Usually guys drop because they lack something.
Yeah.
A speed, height, whatever. With him, it was his age. It took him a while, and then when he finally matured, he's 24, 25. He's ready to play now. And I think he's going to get starting position. I swear I do. I think he's the best option they got. And I think he can be as good or better than Hilton. Because he's a much better athlete.
Yeah, he'll be better than Hilton. I think that's there on the tape.
But they're very similar in their personalities.
Yeah, I just think I think he's just as big from a weight perspective, muscle, like hip perspective, and he's way faster than Hilton.
And he battles every play.
Yeah, definitely. But to be fair to Hilton's been a lot more versatile. Like, the Steelers used him in a very specific way, but he's done more for the Bengals, like, versatility wise. So I'm going to do something a little bit different, because also.
But I want to mention something else.
Oh yeah, go.
2 wide receivers Tomlin mentioned when he was talking to, they was asking him, were they going to make a trade? He brought up Van Jefferson. But guess who else he brought up? Scotty Miller. Listen, I'm telling you, and I've said it all along, that's why I'm not losing my mind if they make a trade or not. They have so many different types of bodies, of players, of speed. They got height. They got so many guys they could use. And then you've got guys like Jefferson and guys like Miller who have mad experience at a high level, at the NFL level on top offense. So they've, and another thing I said on another podcast, look at the blocking. Look at the blocking they got at the receiver position. I mean, what Pickens can do, what Roman Wilson's known for, what Van Jefferson, he blocked more than
this is why Ayuk does not make sense. This is why it makes no sense.
Yeah, but he's a great blocker too. If they got him.
I know, but
he's a good fit for that offense from that aspect.
Yeah.
I just worry about what he would do to Pickens' development. But again, I'm just saying that.
Oh, you're moving Pickens. I'm sorry. I think people out there, I will say this. I've seen this argument the Steelers don't want to give up Pickens. The problem with the Ayuk move is you have to move Pickens for 2 reasons. One, what it will do to Pickens, as you say. But 2, they can't afford to pay 2 wide receivers $30 million plus. They can't afford to pay 2 wide receivers $25 million plus. People sit there and they can if they do, and we start getting crazy scientists. Yes, it's possible. You can do anything you like with the salary cap within reason. But they can't.
You know what I've heard more than anything is that Cam Hayward will be off the books. James Daniels, who's going to get 20-something million, he'll be off the books, and you replace him with McCormick.
Yeah.
And one thing I was going to say too, before we get back, is another player, Spencer Anderson, will probably start instead of Somalis.
Yeah, he will. Yeah.
I'm very intrigued with this because me and you talked about guard being his best position.
And right guard being his best position.
And if you could have McCormick and Anderson pan out, you're going to definitely have more money to spend at other positions. I just had to throw that out there.
Yeah. And look, and going back to that money thing, like it's just they can move Cam Hayward all they like, but the numbers still don't. Let's say even you got Fields for $30 million. 30 million Pickens, 30 million Fields, 30 million.
I know.
That's 90 million of let's say it's a $265 million cap next year. That's still a third of your roster, your salary.
Now throw Watt, TJ Watt in, and Fitzpatrick.
Yeah, exactly. And then Porter's going to come up. Pretty much.
That's half your salary.
So this is why it don't make no sense. But anyway, with that, we will wrap it up. As always, go Steelers.